Okay, welcome back. You've made it this far. We've gone through 6 glasses of Standage's, 6 glasses of world history that had the big impact on world history. We've done all of them from beer and wine, spirits, coffee, tea, and Coca-Cola. And now we're going to look at the epilogue, which is his way of looking into the future here a bit, looking at the world around us today and thinking about what is it that's most important moving forward as far as the future is concerned, and what world you're going to grow up in and have a part of. And I think this has some very practical implications, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time on it. In this little section, there's only really 4 questions to be thinking about. Describe how the scientific advancements of the 19th century brought history beverages full circle, back to the beginning, as Standage says. Which water quality is more tightly controlled? Is it water from the tap, from the sink, or is it bottled water that's more tightly controlled by the government, regulation-wise, or tested to make sure the quality is good? How many people have no access to safe drinking water today? And how has access to water affected international relations? Very important questions. There's a little first world problem there for you on the side. There's nothing to drink at home except a virtually unlimited supply of clean, fresh drinking water from the tap. I can't tell you how many times it's a frustrating thing to me to see people think that they cannot drink regular tap water. It's very rare in America that tap water wouldn't be of high enough quality to drink. So let's find out some more about it here. Back to the source is what Standage calls this. Here's a little quote. Water is a limited natural resource and a public good fundamental for life and health. The human right to water is indispensable for leading a healthy life in human dignity. It is a prerequisite for the realization of other human rights. This is from the UN's Committee on Economic and Cultural and Social Rights from 2002. Is access to safe, clean drinking water a human right, a basic human right? I don't think you can answer no to the question, because without water, you cannot live. You can go without food for a while. Like 10 days, 2 weeks or so. You'll be pretty weak, but you can go without food. You cannot go without water. Try not drinking any water for a day or two. You'll be dehydrated and start to feel pretty bad. Your organs will start to fail far before you would think. But Standage concludes the book by posing the question of whether water will be the next drink whose story will need to be told, and I think certainly it needs to start being told today. Access to safe drinking water is what's going to divide the world in the future. He also notes water's role as the root of many global conflicts, some that have already happened in the Middle East and Northern Africa and Southeast Asia, and this will be something that happens in your future as well. Instead of going to the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, and fight wars in America, will we be forced to fight wars based upon water and access to water? Safe or sales of bottled water are booming. And it's booming in places where you wouldn't expect it to be booming. It's booming in the developed world where they have the best access to safe tap drinking water. It seems to make no sense. It is truly a first world problem. Italians are the most enthusiastic consumers of bottled water. Pretty interesting. 180 liters per year each year by each person. Closely followed by the French, Belgians, Germans, and Spanish. So who is it? Europeans. And America and the West not far behind all of this either. The global bottled water industry is a $46 billion a year industry, and that's in 2003. I can promise you it's much higher. It's got to be over $50 billion today. This is straight from the book, though. So consumption growing at a rate of 11% a year. So it's going to be way more than $46 billion today. This is faster than any other drink. So you look back in the world's history, those 6 drinks we've talked about, this is number 1 today. Bottled water in the U.S. costs more, ounce for ounce, than gasoline. And here's a little bit of the math. You buy a 16-ounce bottle from a vending machine for 125 cents, 125. You're basically paying an astronomical $10 a gallon for that bottled water. That's 3 times more expensive than a gallon of gasoline. People complain about gasoline prices all the time. Do they ever complain about bottled water prices? And what are you paying for? I don't understand what the difference is. You're paying for the right to drink it cold out of a plastic bottle. Tap water uses 0.3% of the energy needed to produce bottled water without creating the waste. Here's another good graphic here. Tap water costs about 15 cents a month. 15 cents a month. Bottled water, if you consumed that much bottled water per month, it would cost you $116 per month. At around a penny per gallon from the tap, the cost of drinking the doctor recommended 8 glasses of water daily for just 1 month is 15 cents. But for bottling that, you're going to pay $116 a month. That's an unbelievable cost and unbelievable price. What are you doing? What could you do with $116 a month? Just think about it that way. Maybe for some of you, it's not a lot of money. That's a lot. And you may be saying, wait a second, Mr. Des, my water tastes funny. Have you ever thought of maybe putting a filter on it? Or maybe buying a Brita filter, just filling up a little a pitcher of it. And I'll show you one of those. We have one here at the house. A lot of times I just drink right out of the fountain, or right out of the spigot, right? Turn on the sink and fill up my glass of water and drink it. The only issue I have is in the summertime, because a lot of times in the summertime it's going to come out warm. So I'll use the refrigerator sometimes to keep it in there. I want to show you a couple video clips here from water.org, an organization started by Matt Damon and Gary White. You're probably familiar with Matt Damon if you've ever watched a movie. I don't know. He's in a bunch of them.
If you don't know about the water crisis, you should. 2.6 billion people are affected. They lack clean water and a toilet. Each day, kids miss school, moms walk miles, families get sick from unsafe water, and too many die. Over 4,000 kids every day. For those days we felt like a mistake. We all know this is wrong, it's tragic, and it's totally unnecessary. Because it's solvable, if done right and with urgency. At water.org, we are dedicated to solving the global water crisis. Our more than 25 years of experience has given us insight. We know the water crisis can't be solved by a one-size-fits-all approach. We know it's not just about drilling wells, and that charity alone won't ever solve the challenge. You can help make this happen. Join us.
So water, the epilogue here, as much as 40% of bottled water sold in the U.S. is in fact derived from tap water. Though it's usually filtered, may have extra minerals added in, but not always. Sometimes it's pulled right out of a tap somewhere, basically, and they fill the bottles that way. America's 2 leading bottled water brands, Aquafina and Dasani, are derived from municipal water supplies, straight from the regular water that you would drink. New York's water supply is one of the best in the world, and you would think New York City, oh, what a mess, their water must be terrible. Many people think that pizza in New York City tastes so good because the bread is made with the New York City tap water. And that water's so pure, and it just makes the bread and the dough that much tastier. That's what they think the secret is. So it's odd to see so many people buying water out of a bottle and not trusting just regular old tap water. In both Europe and the United States, the quality of tap water is more highly controlled than the quality of bottled water. That's got to be surprising to you. Bottled water costs 250 to 10,000 times as much per gallon as tap water does, and most people cannot taste or discern the difference. It'd be a really good, interesting thing to do, is do a little taste test. have someone set it up for you and see if you can taste the difference. I'm sure some people can taste the difference, and there's some people who have a water supply that has a funny taste to it. I get it. Run it through a filter and see if that fixes it, but I would say it's not certainly not going to kill you, hopefully not going to kill you. There are some areas of this country you have to be very careful of. Well water can get contaminated. If it's not going through a processing plant, it can certainly be contaminated. There could be problems with plumbing, that sort of thing. That happens, but it's pretty... You're getting bottled water from the same sources, so you have to be very careful here. Many people in the developing world, and this is where I want to focus the rest of this on, are struggling to have any kind of access to clean drinking water. So us arguing whether tap water or bottled water is one thing. There are people that don't have any choice, and they're drinking out of a hole in the ground, and I don't know how they even survive it, and many don't. Around 1.2 billion people currently lack reliable access to safe drinking water. 80% of all illness on the globe is due to waterborne diseases. Imagine the difference we could make in the world if every human being alive just had access to clean drinking water. The amount of suffering that would decline. According to the United Nations, one of the main reasons, and this is important, I would really know this fact, one of the main reasons girls do not go to school in sub-Saharan Africa, that's below the Sahara Desert in Africa, is that they have to spend so much time fetching water, going and getting water and transporting it back to the house, usually walking it. Rural water supplies have improved slightly since the 1980s, but most people are moving to cities, even in Africa, where cities are booming in population. And across the globe, that's where there's really a serious water crisis mode. So at the top there you see the picture of people dropping their containers into the well to be able to pull water out. Having access to clean water supplies, it's vital for people. And it says at the top here, the water aid, try carrying a child and a full water container weighing 40 pounds. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. And the kinds of water that they're getting is not very healthy to be drinking. Look at the image at the bottom. The young man or young woman, it's probably a young woman there, I think she's wearing a skirt, is putting that water, that dirty water. I mean, I would let my dog drink that water. At the dog park, I'd yell at my dog if he starts drinking water out of a puddle like that. It's just terribly gross. You'd think, man, he's going to get sick. And probably could. There are technologies available that will filter water supplies pretty well. It's just getting that technology in the hands of people, and then also being able to have the raw supply of enough water to help people. But more than half the world's population lives in cities today, and disputes over water supplies have been a major problem that has caused military crisis. In the 1960s, you had the Indus Basin Treaty, though, that brought together Indians and Pakistanis to these long-term rivals started to work together to have a better, safer drinking supply for both nations. The same has occurred in Southeast Asia, where Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam have cooperated to manage the Mekong River basin. So there is some cooperation that can take place, and I think this is one of the areas where people would be more prone to cooperate because they're gonna have to, they're gonna need to, because water and access to safe drinking water, that affects every person in that population, and it's really a major issue. There are things you can do and programs that you can put some time and money into. We have a location here in the Western Hemisphere that is one of the poorest areas in the world, and certainly the poorest area in the Western Hemisphere is the island nation of Haiti. And Hank Green, John Green, who you'll get to meet here in World History this year if you don't know him already, Hank Green's his brother, and he is doing a video here that will discuss his efforts in trying to help the people of Haiti through these water wells and working for water.org.
Good morning, John. This morning I woke up, used some water, then I used some more water, then I used some water, and used some more water again. If you walk around my house and jostle enough silver things, there's a really good chance that clean, safe, delicious, cold or hot water will start leaking out of somewhere. This is a nickel. If I see a nickel on the sidewalk, there's a fairly good chance that I won't even stop to pick it up. All of the water that I used this morning cost me about 1 nickel. March 22nd is World Water Day, John. I think that we should take a moment to think about how freaking awesome our lives are. Last week, I woke up in Miami. I got on a plane, landed in Port-au-Prince, and then I got on another much smaller, much bumpier, much scarier plane, and then landed in a place called Pignon, a small town of 20,000 people in central Haiti. I went to Pignon with water.org to meet the people who live there and find out how those people live their lives. The morning after arriving in Haiti, I rode in the back of a truck to Savan-Tabac, a village of around 60 households. The people of Savan-Tabac got one of water.org's carefully selected local partners involved by sending a letter to the mayor of Pignon explaining their situation. These people are the Well Committee. They're the people who, in a perfect world, wrote the letter together expressing an interest to have some organization come in and help them build a well. Two of these guys, Gluino here and Boats on the other end, clearly were the guys who actually wrote the letter. The rest of the people were wrangled by water.org's requirement to have a broader coalition be formed. This coalition is necessary because otherwise Boats and Gluino could just say that they're the ones who brought the well to the community and that everyone owes them a gigantic debt of gratitude, and in the worst case scenario, they could actually start selling water for their own personal profit. These guys actually seemed a little bit frustrated with the process. They seemed to think that water.org should just come and drill the well and leave them alone and not change the way any of this stuff is working. But since water.org requires this committee to be formed, a committee with people from different genders, different religions, different neighborhoods, different families, the well becomes an asset of the community, not of one church, not of one family. This woman, Olna, obviously has seen a lot and wasn't taking no lip from no one. I wouldn't want her as a second grade teacher, but I'd be happy having her represent me in local government. Isaid, the old guy at the end here, he was cracking jokes the whole time, trying to make everybody feel more at ease, and he was obviously a very well-respected member of the community. Jean Baptiste, the woman in the middle, who I didn't catch while she was standing up, was a quiet woman, but she was obviously there for her kids. She was very frustrated by the fact that her kids had been sick and that they spent more time fetching water than they did at school. Jenna, this girl in the awesome hat, the youngest member of the Well Committee, was probably the most frustrated of everyone. She knew that there had to be a better way, but she wasn't interested at all in begging. She was just fed up with the situation and hadn't yet reached an age where she thought that it was intractable. She thought that there was a solution, and she was really ready for that solution. She seemed really able to step outside of the situation and be able to critique it in a way that was humorous, not overly critical. I just said that she could critique it without being critical. That is how awesome she was. These are the people of the Savan-Tabac Well Committee, and this is mostly what I wanted to do today. I just wanted to introduce you to them. And now what I want you to do is go to my.water.org/vlogbrothers, and you can follow this community as they meet their milestones. Water.org has a very specific outline of what needs to happen for a community to come together and create a sustainable water project. Not just something that will help them for the next 6 months, but something that will really redefine their community. I learned a lot of things in Haiti, and one of the most important was that not all nonprofit organizations are created equal. And now myself, having done the due diligence and seeing the way that water.org operates, I'm very comfortable asking you to donate money to water.org. The people of Savan-Tabac have a lot of hard work to do before they can have a sustainable source of water in their community, but we can do our part as well, following them on that journey and helping them through that journey. There's no amount that is too great or small. We're just helping people get out of a situation that sucks. Thanks to water.org and Haiti Outreach and all the amazing people who were able to help me bring this story onto the YouTube-sized screen, whatever size screen this is. And if you want to check out more videos from Haiti, Lisa Nova and Timothy De La Ghetto were there with me, and you should check out their channels. They just made videos about Haiti as well. John, I'll see you on Wednesday.
Last slide here. Make sure you understand these questions pretty well. And I challenge you to really think about your habits when it comes to water and drinking water. You may say to yourself, well, I'm an athlete, Mr. Diaz. I really need to have bottled water during the day. I need to be hydrated. Coach wants me hydrated. That's fantastic. There are ways you can use a reusable container and put tap water, or filter your own water and put it in there. A filtered water system is very inexpensive and is much cheaper than having to buy bottled water every day. So it's just something to be thinking about. I understand you're on a trip to San Antonio or Dallas and you're on the road and you stop at a convenience store. I mean, you're not going to have like safe tap water available. Maybe you would get a bottled water in that instance, in that case, and occasionally that's not going to be an issue. But the amount of waste, and I'm guilty of it sometimes as well with buying soda, Coke, Diet Coke. I do that too often, and I'm trying to cut back on it. That kind of waste isn't helping anybody. And where's it going? Straight over to the landfill over there in Humble. And If you want to go visit that and find out where your garbage is, you have a stinky good time with that, because it's a pretty gross process. We just bury it in the ground. So this has been a look at 6 glasses, history of the world in 6 glasses with Standage. Hopefully you've had a good time watching the video clips. If you have any questions about these as you're going through them, please let me know. School will get started here pretty shortly, or maybe this is the first week when you're finally getting a chance to watch it. Good luck. Thanks for being here, and don't forget to be awesome.